All right, good evening. Welcome to our March board meeting. We will start with approval of the February board meeting minutes. Are there any corrections or comments to the minutes that were posted prior to the meeting? If there are no corrections, then I will deem the minutes as approved by unanimous consent vote. Next up, I will hand it over to Mrs. Stein to talk about the state and school report.
Oh yeah, I guess that is the state of the school report. So let me flip it around here for just a second. So exciting times that are happening. We just finished our lottery, and another record year for our lottery. We had 6,541 applications this school year. This is an increase of 458 applications over last year, and the lottery was held on February 16th. So those folks that have been accepted, which would have only been in kindergarten and fifth grade so far, have been notified, and registration is coming up at the end of the month. And then there will be some more students that are accepted as openings are made aware for us. So I am going to show. So portrait of a graduate, this is kind of fun because the state of North Carolina, they're going through several different initiatives of under Superintendent Truitt, and one is called Operation Polaris, and part of that is the portrait of a graduate. And our very own Dr. Graham is serving on a commission to help with this new portrait of a graduate. So she'll get to have some input on this, because at some point this will become part of our school accountability model. But what's really kind of fun for that is, where have we heard of portrait of a graduate before? Lake Norman Charter has had a portrait of a graduate for a long time. And I teased, for those of you who know, Brian Boone is our consultant, helped when we first developed it. And I said, I think they went to our website, because pretty much everything on the portrait of a graduate is stuff that we already have as part of ours. And it was really fun because I got to go to a conference earlier this year about this, and I wanted to learn about how it was going to be in the accountability model. And they were asking around the room, they're like, okay, so who here has a portrait of a graduate? And I'm like, me, kind of this. And they're like, where are you from? I said, oh, from the Charlotte area. And they're like, okay, everybody can ask Charlotte Mecklenburg. And I'm like, nope, nope, Lake Norman Charter. So we're a little bit ahead of the game. And so one of the things, so you can see these are the different areas, and then they break those subsets down, and they're very, very similar to what we already have. So the good news is that this is something that we were a little bit forward thinking, and we can prove that because as they're trying to get other districts ready for understanding portrait of a graduate and what's expected, they asked for people to volunteer if there were exemplars, and so we did. And so we ended up going through the process of doing a couple of interviews, and it was Miss Heather Crane, Miss Bish, and Tiffany Cavicier at our high school. I did not ask them to put our picture on there. I'm not sure why that is. But they talk about our school profile. They talk about our leadership in action program, why that is an exemplar for the portrait of a graduate, the different ways that we're plugging students in. And then this, and it talked at each level. And as people know, our current leadership in action, one of the cumulative projects at the end is that every student does a placard that is then posted in the high school that talks about their own service and why they chose that and how that inspired them. And so they included some of those. So you can see this is different things that they took from their interview from those three ladies who are helping to spearhead those initiatives. So it was a pretty extensive interview, and it was pretty honoring to be able to be an exemplar for the state on that. So that's included in your board packets to take a look at. But again, kudos to Miss Crane, Miss Cavicier, and Miss Bish, because they are the ones that represented and helped to edit and pull this together and did a really exceptional job with that. So it's nice to be seen that way. I also want to call out, you can see, I'm going to try to move this. So Miss Seti DeVoe, who's our art teacher at the elementary, had her students participate in the North Carolina Department of Transportation Aviation Art Contest. And we had a whole list. Am I right, Miss Holland, Miss Lotz? A whole list of finalists and semifinalists. And then we had one student, Catherine, I think I believe saying Wang, Catherine Wang, who was a third grade student who was in the top 10 in her age division. So that was really exciting. And this is Catherine's picture. So really, I want to say there were probably 15 plus students. Oh, yeah. So the actual numbers, I'm sorry, how many did we have in our school? About 15 to 20 kids that were recognized in some way. And this art contest had 1,500 submissions from over 181 hometowns, 151 schools. So to get that many from ours was really cool. So congratulations to Catherine and to many other students who were recognized for their work. I'm excited to share with the board that we were made aware of a grant opportunity that we are taking advantage to better promote mental health and personal wellness. And as a part of that grant, we're going to be able to do two things. At our high school, in between all of the counseling offices, there is now a entryway that is going to be a sensory space for students who basically might need some time, might need a break, might need a mental break, a quiet space. And so that space is being redesigned with the appropriate furniture and different areas so that it can service those students who may need that mental health break and then maybe additional support from their counselors. And then at the elementary, our playground, our original playground is going to get, I know there's a, Scott, what's the exact name? Because I call it the cushy surface, but yes. So the rubbery, cushy surface that instead of having mulch, we're going to have a, which I know that the teachers and the administration are very happy because despite how much everybody tries, it gets muddy throughout different times of the year. And this will never get muddy. This will be long lasting. It will be impact resistant surface. And you've seen that probably in some other places. So that's going to be done as part of that grant. And so both of those things are going to happen before the end of the school year. And then lastly, I want to commend, let's get out of that, hopefully. Mr. Dylan Scarangelli. He was recognized as the Lake Norman Chamber Teacher of the Year. And so there was a luncheon that was held. So the chamber president, one of the head of the Huntersville Area Educational Collaborative, and then Mayor Bales was there. And poor Mr. Carlasio, this was not the picture that he made. I'm sorry, Mr. Carlasio. He also was there supporting Mr. Scarangelli. But we're excited that Dylan had the recognition that was well deserved. So not only was he a finalist at the state level, but he was recognized as the Area Teacher of the Year. So that is my report.
Fantastic. And you are up next.
Well,
You're up again.
The PTO is up, so now we'll switch lenses. The PTO asked for me to share the following information. The PTO hosted a Super Bowl staff luncheon on Friday, February 10th. Each staff member was entered in a Super Bowl pool with several gift card winners at each campus. The next staff luncheon is scheduled Friday, March 31st, and we'll have a March Madness theme. We're hoping for a contest again. It was super fun. So awesome. Yeah, you guys, they've done a phenomenal job of giving really great interactive opportunities for our staff, as well as loving on them with food, which is much appreciated. The PTO is sponsoring an elementary school father-daughter special someone dance this Saturday, March 4th in the elementary school gym. The theme is a sweet night. There will be high school students volunteering at the event. So nice to see the cross campus volunteering. We also want to give a special shout out to Miss Matoka and the art department for partnering us with amazing sweet art pieces that they've had their high school students create for the dance. So I walked through the hallway because they have so many of them and it looked like Candyland, like we were actually playing Candyland. It was super cool. The kids did a great job. So thanks to all the students and under Miss Matoka's leadership. And then the elementary school mother-son glow party is a save the date, was just shared with families yesterday. That will be held on April 22nd, and the theme will be light up the night. So that'll be fun for them. And then they are actively recruiting for all PTO positions for the fall of 2023. So a big thank you to our PTO presidents and all of those folks who serve so selflessly to help the students to have a good experience, and our staff.
Thank you, Mrs. Stein. Thanks to our PTO for all the great work they're doing. Next up, we have our athletic update from Mr. Schlegel.
Can you hear me? Good evening, everyone. A lot's been going on, but spring sports started this week. So we had our first event starting off this week. We had 29 events going off. Unfortunately, we were hoping the rain would hold off so we could at least get the first weekend without any issues. But obviously, as you can tell, we have rain today and tomorrow, so we had to move some things around. But other than that, winter season's closed up. We're into spring and it's going to be busy. It's every day. It's on campus. It's off campus. It's everywhere. And we're just hoping the weather holds off. Oh, also, we have locked in and secured the save the date for our next golf outing next fall. That will be October 9th, and that will be back over here at North Stone Country Club. More information to come. We have not opened registration, but we have the save the date out. That's it.
Thank you. Moving on to strategic committee updates, we'll start with our Thrive report.
Great. Well, as you pull, I forget which picture I put in first, so I'm gonna let you pull that up. But while you do that, so we've got a couple things that we want to report on that happened this past month, and we'll share that. And then looking ahead, so next month the board has its retreat, so we don't have this meeting, but in May we'll report out on the second annual student survey. So we surveyed the middle and high school students for the second year in a row, have those results back, and have some really interesting themes to share. So we'll be doing that in May. Everyone will tune in virtually, I'm sure, to get those results. We can't wait. And so we want to talk a little bit about Night of Honor and the middle school career speaker series. Okay. So, where are you first? Okay, great. So for the middle school career speaker series, we had our first event, and there was just so much energy in the building that day. It was such a great event. We had 25 speakers, parents, representing a wide variety of careers. So there were lawyers, there was a nurse anesthetist, there was I can't say that word, anesthetist, a library manager, the captain of a fire department, a vet, a professional tennis player. And our organizer, Ms. Perella, for some reason didn't highlight the marketing professionals that came, but I won't be personally offended by that. No, I'm kidding. But a huge hats off to Ms. Perella for pulling this together, getting the volunteers. She, along with Nisha Massey, our parent volunteer, put this together, and all of the students went to 2 speakers. They did it during nighttime, and they got around the building, and I don't know, in my sessions, they asked a ton of questions. They were really engaged. So it was the first time, we do this at the high school. It's the first time we've extended it down to the middle school, and it was a lot of fun. I think sparked some interest. So thanks to them for that. And then for our Night of Honor, we have talked about in previous meetings about expanding the Night of Honor to just recognize more kids for their character and their acts of their good behavior and just different things. And then we also expanded it at the elementary school to allow folks to recognize teachers and staff. And so I have a little blurb from somebody who was nominated that I want to share, but do you want to say anything else, Ms. Holland? Okay.
At the elementary school, we have a monthly staff newsletter. So internally, we do shout outs to each other for different reasons and to thank each other and appreciate each other and build that culture. But this is a way to even share it beyond to our families and for our students to see different teachers recognized. And up here to the far left, I think you're going to read about Miss Francisca, who is our custodian day porter, and she was nominated by a staff member.
She was. So this staff member said, I'd love to recognize Miss Francisca for Staff Night of Honor. Her impact on our building is so significant, both the physical space and her presence inside it. She is here every day with a smile on her face, doing a very busy job. She is quick to respond to any concern and thanks the students for their help in cleaning, even when it may not be super helpful. She is constantly being pulled in different directions, but handles her role with grace and leaves nothing unattended. The elementary school is a better place because of Miss Francisca. She models leadership for our students and staff. So what a great thing that the program has opened up the opportunity for us to recognize each other among the staff. Yeah.
Do you want me to
Go ahead.
hand out what I was going to hand out? Remember when we had
Yes.
the tornado?
Yeah. Go for it.
So the ordinance. Active kindness, doing the right thing, leadership, just out of the blue, they might get a slide ride pass. So Ms. Stein said you all are doing an amazing job, and if you want
Oh,
to join us on. You would
We
have
can-
the slide ride all.
that's great. I bet. I mean, I was slightly injured the last time I did this. I,
This is something that we do, our specialist teachers, admin, RPA, just randomly, for students doing the right thing, and have them in our pocket and give them out. And special treat. Friday on the after the announcement, we call students down to 250. Come down if you have a slide ride pass and we'll give them some down the slide. I wanted to share that in January, but
that's right. Yeah.
we couldn't make it.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for sharing it today, and just love to see all the creative ways that our schools are recognizing our students for a variety of things, even beyond academics. So that's the Thrive Report.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have the IDEA committee. Hey, everyone, it's good to be back. I don't know if some of you were wondering whether I decided to join another board, but I'm still here. I've been present, but here I am. So I'm glad to be back and with everybody. So we have had a busy couple months with IDEA. As a lot of you know, we have held our second family engagement night. This one was actually done virtually, and we did not have as large as a turnout as we had for the one in person, but we had about 45 to 50 people in attendance. So we thank everybody that came out for the second family engagement night with the session led by Nixon and Company. As always, we are trying to engage with our parents and look forward to forward movement in terms of engaging with them, building awareness as we do the same with our students and administration. In terms of student development, this past month in February, it was Black History Month. And in the high school, twice a week, they were doing announcements about lesser discussed Black leaders and influential individuals. They also did a movie night, Wakanda Forever, and they also had a student-led discussion on the film. And they had a great turnout for that. At the middle school, they did Drop Everything and Talk with novel reads and research projects. And in the elementary school, they did a whole school read aloud of More Than Peach, which I don't know if many of you know, but this was actually a book written by a child because when she was going to look for crayons, she didn't see anything that represented the color of herself. So she wrote a book, she reached out to Crayola and said, hey, listen, this is what I have to say about this. So all of the kids got to participate in this read aloud. And I think each child was also given a box of the crayons. And so that was a great experience for the kids. And it really ties in because I know the elementary school has done a great job of saying, you know, we look at leaders from the past and the present, but also looking at it from the standpoint that we as students are making history. So really empowering our youth. I also wanted to give a shout out to Miss DeShannon Sanders. For many years, I pulled up in the drop-off line with my kids to the elementary school. And during Black History Month, she was dressed up as someone different every day. So we all know how difficult it is just to get dressed in the morning, but to think about the fact that she had to get dressed, plan who she was going to be. And then she also does something called a quick clip. So it's also providing information about the person that she's dressed up as. So that's a lot for every single day. So I wanted to give a shout out to Miss Sanders. That is a picture of her dressed up as Janet Jackson. So thank you to her for doing that. And in the top corner on the right is the fourth grade students each got to choose an African-American leader or inventor or someone that was influential that they were drawn to and do a research project on and then also present. So this is our fourth grade students, and on the walls, I hear that their reports were put up on the walls throughout the elementary school. And so as I said, we also are having, we had the family engagement night in the high school. We also continued with our microaggression sessions. We had one on February 15th, which focused on the topic of poverty, SES and religion. And then on the 22nd of February, the focus was on race and ethnicity. And we're going to continue with this. As Jen shared with you, we got some feedback from the student surveys, and based on the information we've gotten from the student surveys, we know that it's really important for us to continue to build awareness. And so again, we look at the data that comes in and it influences and helps us as a committee to look at what we're putting forth out there as well. And then we can head to the next slide. So plans to come for March. March is Women's History Month. At the high school, they are doing a virtual women's panel. So they asked me to do a shout out to all you female family members out there or board members that are female or know people that are female or administrators that have anybody in mind. I know that the high school is looking for women's panel guest speakers. It's going to be done virtually at 6 p.m. on March, I think the end of March. So we'll get that information out to everybody. But if you are interested or know somebody that would be interested, please contact Miss Elkins because they are actively seeking guest speakers. In the middle school, they are doing a drop everything and talk, and they are also having a guest author who is coming to speak. And that author is really quick, Mr. Carlock, do you know the author that's coming? I think it is, okay, so it is Kate Albus, and she wrote the book Place to Hang the Moon. So she is coming to speak to the middle school. In terms of the elementary school, they are talking and again focusing on kid change makers. So they said female kid change makers. They also are reading the book Wangari's Trees of Peace. And also they had some guests come visit them. Miss North Carolina and Miss Teen North Carolina came in yesterday and did a read aloud. Also, Miss Whitney informed me that they've got over 100 books out in the media center for the kids to come in on different female leaders. And also they've got them available in the via digital, they've got a digital library as well. In the high school, again, we are continuing our microaggressions awareness sessions. On the 1st of March, we did ability and disability, and on the 15th, we're doing gender identity, sexual identity, and orientation. So a lot going on. We have still a lot of work to do. And so that is our report for this. Yeah. Yes.
Some of our teachers are going to be reaching out to Shannon Stein to come and talk to our students as a female leader
Oh.
superintendent, right
Fantastic.
in our own backyard.
Thank you. Thank you for that update. We got a lot in 26 minutes. I think that may be a new record, but it was full of good information. So thank you, everyone. That concludes our meeting and meeting adjourned at 7:26.